really important things here. Let's get into Omar. She's being investigated. The FBI is finally doing their job and investigating her and giving this also to two other departments.
For possible student loan fraud, immigration fraud, and other types of fraud. And we need to remember that David Steinberg, he was the one that broke the story. He did the investigative work, and he looked into what Representative Omar was doing, what she did, how she did it, and he broke the story. And he tweeted out the following: Big Ilhan Omar update. Federal investigators finally seem to be reviewing the overwhelming evidence against Omar, and at least 3 agencies are considering her case: FBI, Department of Education, and ICE. In October 2019, the FBI held a formal meeting to discuss a file of evidence against Omar. I was invited but did not attend. I did submit new info to the FBI via an attorney. The FBI has since found the evidence compelling enough to share with these 2 agencies. The Department of Education, IG, is considering evidence that Omar married a UK citizen in 2009, perhaps to commit student loan fraud or other education fraud. She attended NDSU from 2009 to June 2011. The marriage only lasted from 2009 to June 2011. She still lived with her first husband throughout. ICE Gov is considering evidence that Omar married a UK citizen in 2009, perhaps to commit immigration fraud. Government agencies rarely acknowledge an investigation. For now, I can confirm that the FBI chose to share evidence with at least these 2 agencies. And it seems that all his work, everything that he's done, it is now paying off.
It's important to go after these people, and thank goodness for decent and in-depth reporting. Essential. Let's go on to the most important part here with the Virginia legislature. One other thing with Comey, they're going to investigate more of the stuff that's coming up with him, of course, the leaks and the other things he did that were illegal. We are going to get into other charges that are going to come into Comey with the Senate trial. Remember, the Senate trial is going to begin on Tuesday, but the Virginia protests are on Monday, and they've been set up for a takedown on this. Let's get into here. In the right part here.
Legislation to push their agenda. Tony.
Now they're pushing their agenda through things that have been set up, the Patriot Act, and a couple other things that are mentioned here. And the Antifa, they're going to put Antifa in the group to disrupt the crowds and the group and to start some violence. They have purposely put these people in the group to shoot or to injure people or to cause crowd violence. This is what the group is set up for. But there will be people with cell phones taking pictures and other things. They're advised to avoid these people in the confrontation and to get away from them if they start doing violent acts. But they're set up for a fall purposely on Monday before the Senate starts its investigations on Tuesday. This is no accident. This has been pre-planned, pre-scripted, and ready to counter what's going on in the Senate and to control the narrative.
Tony Schaefer tweeted out the following: Let me be clear. There is no known threat to the Monday Second Amendment event in Richmond, Virginia. And if there was, citizens should be armed legally to protect themselves from any threat. Governor of Virginia is breaking Virginia law, and I hope the Virginia Supreme Court follows the Virginia law. Now, very interestingly, the Richmond-based Antifa group is going to join in this Second Amendment gun rally. Now, whenever Antifa is introduced into a situation, we know what happens.
going to go on here, and this gal lays it out. This guy lays it out very, very well.
Powerful mass protests while creating conditions that will inevitably lead to violence. Then, once that unnecessary government created violence occurs, it will be used to justify the stripping away of more of your rights. Now, Senator Amanda Chase of Virginia posted this on Facebook.
Now, this is important because this has been scripted and set up by the government groups, so they can strip away our rights and our right to bear arms. This has all been set up, and this has been set up against the protests and against people that are fighting for the rights.
Sadly, I am posting this knowing that the governor of Virginia has declared a state of emergency in our state. I want you to be aware of how we are being set up. Does the Patriot Act ring a bell? Does the National Defense Authorization Act ring a bell? If people show up wearing any kind of uniform, patch, or other symbol on their clothing signifying they belong to a militia and something goes wrong, you will be held as a domestic terrorist. If anyone steps out of line, all it takes is one person. It may even be a government plant. If that plant does anything to disrupt.
Again, this is the important part. It may be a government plant, or it may be these government supported Antifa groups. And remember, this has been funded by taxpayer dollars and other things and other private funds to disrupt and destroy peaceful rallies. We've seen this in Portland. We've seen this in other areas. This is their task, to disrupt peaceful rallies. And they're getting away with it. And this has to be stopped.
Disrupt the rally. You will be arrested as a domestic terrorist. The governor, using the media, has already set the stage for this to happen. He has already laid the groundwork to make the entire movement look like insurrection. It will be used to put the rest of the nation on notice of what will happen to you if you resist. They have used the Southern Poverty Law Center over the last 15 years to lay the groundwork. They have labeled us as potential domestic terrorists for a long time now. Anyone who is ever related to the Three Percenters, a militia, or just belong to any patriot.
I'm going to stop this narrative for a moment. Remember, Trump warned us that he's fighting for us. The real thing is the government is trying to come after you and control you. And this is one of the ways that they're trying to take away the arms, take away the Second Amendment, and get this done. We're in deep trouble against groups in the government, and they're using our own money and their abuse of power to do these things. And they have an agenda they're following that is anti-American, anti-freedom, and anti-rights, and anti-constitutional. We're in a great civil, political, financial war. Make no doubt about it. I'm going to let this go. I don't think he's got too much more to say here.
Group. The groundwork has been laid to brand you as a domestic terrorist. They have gone out of their way since the Obama years to ensure they had us labeled. But it didn't start with Obama. It started with the Patriot Act under the Bush administration. We are being played by a well-oiled machine. These things have been in the works for many years. They are kicking things into high gear. Military veterans are even listed as potential domestic terrorists. We were told not once but several times by the current president, it's not me they're after, it's you, the American people. Their actions over the last 3 years have shown you he was right. They are coming after us full speed ahead, and they aren't even trying to hide it anymore. And
we're going to leave that alone. She's absolutely right. Heads up. Pray for Virginia rally that will go peaceful, but I'm sure that there will be demonstrators with Antifa that will mess things up. This is all a setup. Heads up, Virginia. It's Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. Good day.